Party Dress Express is your one-stop shop for a dress for any occasion. Whether it's a prom, a graduation, a special night on the town, or your wedding. Party Dress Express has over 15,000 dresses in stock and prices to fit any budget. Party Dress Express is located at the Tower Mill, 657 Quarry Street in Fall River, Mass. Open 7 days a week. Call Party Dress Express at 508-677-1575. That's 508-677-1575. Do you want to feel radiant, beautiful, and confident? Do you want to feel 10 years younger? Come to Spa Number 5, the Face Fox, located at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. From Botox fillers to laser fillers and top-of-the-line skincare, Spa Number 5 has all you need to feel beautiful again. Go to spa-5.com or visit us at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. Take advantage of all our fall specials happening now. Spa Number 5, the Face Fox.
Are you ready for some football? Join the Troy City Titans on Saturday, October 12th at 7:30 p.m. at Mac Aldrich Field on the campus of Durfee High School for their final home game of the season against their arch rival, the Middleborough Cobras. You can also enter our raffle for a chance to win a 2012 Nissan Titan truck sponsored by 24autogroup.com. Raffle tickets are available for the rest of this month. The winning ticket will be drawn at this game. Raffle tickets are $25 and available by calling 774-955-7111. The Troy City Titans. Be there!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this fourth edition of the E2G Sports Podcast here on YouTube, Facebook.com. We are coming live. We are alive. You are looking live at us right now. Johnny Sunchips here. Brian Damaris filling in for Buddy Andrade, who is on his way to Buffalo, New York. I believe he's in the Syracuse area as we speak to enjoy the weekend festivities Sunday and probably a little adult beverages and some wings and so forth. James Capra being our producer for the day, bringing this to you. So welcome, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Friday, September 27th. Actually, it's about 10:54 Eastern Time on Friday, September 27th of the year 2019. We're going to talk a little NFL, obviously, as we do every week, make the picks, kind of bring up some topics, some of the big things that are being discussed now, and probably a little more Antonio Brown, which is in a seemingly week. Well, it's not more of a daily thing now. It's about a weekly thing, Brian. So.
It's definitely a weekly thing. This is the soap opera that will never end.
Nope. And
just when you think there's no more news, that's when video comes out of an incident that took place that he claims didn't happen.
Right.
Just more stuff by the day about.
It's insane, isn't it? I mean, for all the wrong reasons, this guy is a topic of conversation. And up in Foxborough, it's still a topic of conversation because up until recently, and maybe up until now, he's still being liked by Edelman. His tweets are liked by Edelman. His Instagram likes are liked by Edelman, as well as TB12. So, and we'll pontificate more on this when we're going to get into I have a little baseball we want to kind of focus on. But the more this goes on, the more distraction it's going to be, and the more we see now that this is a Robert Kraft thing, and Belichick and Brady are not happy with the decision to jettison him out of town. Having said that, we do want to, the Red Sox are closing in. Brian, we're baseball fans here.
Yes, we
coming
are.
off a disappointing season up at the Fens. But we kind of want to put a little bit of wrap and see where the Red Sox are going, and we'll do that. It's sort of our baseball minute here on E2G Sports. They're closing out the regular season against Baltimore this weekend. I kind of want to talk about it, too, because Dave Dombrowski is no longer the GM, and this is a coveted job amongst GMs in baseball, or aspiring GMs, people to look up. Brian Hoyer has been mentioned. And Brian
Jed Hoyer.
Jed Hoyer, I'm sorry. Jed Hoyer has been mentioned. And Brian and I talked about this before the show started. I'm a Theo Epstein guy. I loved him when he was here. I thought he could build a farm system, which is what they need now. Brian, he's been floated around a little bit. I know Dan Shaughnessy, who writes for the Globe, in the past had mentioned that he had spoken with Theo before he had left town the second time, and Theo had expressed concern, and this is a quote, that he wanted to come back here before his career was finished. things aren't well in Chicago. They're not going to make the playoffs. Madden is going to be gone. Do they start changing in a whole new regime? Because the Cubs now have set a standard of winning the World Series. And I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Are you a Theo guy? Do you think there's any shot of him coming back here?
I am definitely a Theo guy. I think that at some point Theo will come back. I mean, I know Fox Sports was reporting last night that it was announced that he was going to be staying with the Cubs.
Right.
Whether or not that's actually true, I suppose
Saying the
we'll
right
find
things,
out.
if you will.
I think also too, if he has the right incentives to come back, he doesn't have Larry Lucchino looking over his shoulder anymore.
Which is the big thing with him here.
Yeah.
They just did not get along. That was oil and water.
Yeah,
Did not get along.
It was worse than that, to be honest with you. They did not get along. Everything had to run through Lucchino. I mean, granted, Theo was much younger then. Now he's he's grown into his role, and I mean, when you're talking about Theo Epstein as well, I mean, he broke an 86-year curse.
And a 109-year-old.
And a 108-year-old curse. I mean, that's a resume that nobody else has.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame just for that.
Just for that.
Yeah, right. That's a lot of demons to exercise in a lot of years. But you talked about incentive. You're John Henry now. You're getting a little older. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
You're still running the club.
Yep.
How do you get Theo here? You bring him in, and he runs everything, and you give him a piece of the organization.
Yeah.
Part ownership. That's what you do. What I'm saying is, if you're the Red Sox, you have to make the call to this guy to see. Because he's a creative GM. He's welcome back here. He knows the game. He's been successful here. He's not going to be intimidated. And I think he can, what they need now, and I think part of the reason Dombrowski was jettisoned out was because they need a creative guy in here now to maneuver around the contracts, the bad contracts, the sale contracts, the Nathan Eovaldi. What are you going to do with Mookie Betts? Be creative like that. They don't have a lot of financial flexibility, you wouldn't think, with a billion-dollar organization such as the Red Sox. But Dombrowski can't do that. He's brought in here for a reason. You can't have him moving forward. Theo's the guy, but there's a bunch of other candidates.
Yeah,
Ed Romero's been one within the organization.
Yeah, and truthfully, they need much more than a superstar GM. They need somebody to build the farm system, which was ravished by Dave Dombrowski.
Yeah, which is what he does everywhere he goes. Look at the Detroit Tigers now. Horrible.
112 losses, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a dumpster fire.
6 years ago, they were a couple wins away from being in the World Series.
Against us.
Right. So look where they've fallen. Granted, you really can't do that in a market like this. You've got to remain competitive while building a farm system. Theo's done that. He doesn't forget how to do that.
He's been there. He's done that.
Right.
But also too, they need someone who can actually kind of play the money ball side of it, and look for talent kind of on the cheaper, and that's what the next GM is going to have to do. And
right.
Whether it's Epstein, whether it's Hoyer, whether it's Romero, somebody's going to have to get that down, because the number I keep hearing is $208 million, and you also have to worry about being able to, having to decide whether or not JD Martinez stays,
right?
Whether Mookie Betts.
Betts is the big thing.
Oh, Betts is huge.
With a year left on his contract. Do you offer him in the offseason? If not, you bring him into the season and let him play it out. If they start the season with Mookie, I think you got to play it out unless the team is not a playoff contender, in which case by the deadline in July, you try to move him out of there. But that's going to be tough. But I don't know where his stock lies now. It's a little bit down from last year because his year wasn't as good, although in Mookie Betts' realm of playing, it's better than the average ball player. He's a stud.
I think we'd all like to have a year that bad.
No good things about the team this year. Left side of the infield, Devers and Bogarts, solid. 2 MVP candidates. They will both get votes. Big time. Really impressed by Devers and the way what he's shown. Coming down from the errors, producing, doubles machine, on base, aggressive. Bogarts, I think, is a leader for the future too. So I like the left side of the infield.
No,
going forward.
They are all set, and they got, and Bogarts was locked up with reasonable money.
Yes,
it wasn't anything that Well, it was too foolish. I think he got 104 for 6 years.
Yes.
Was it?
And it is definitely conducive to the Red Sox financially.
Worth every penny at this
No
point.
question. And he's playing his guts out. He's not one of those players. He seems to really like being here in Boston. So there's your guy. There's your leader for the future. Pretty good guy. Having said that, that they'll put the cap on the Red Sox season and we'll move fully into football. But, we'll move on to next year. Turn the page, as they say, as I literally just did.
Yes, indeed.
I just want to say one thing before we start off on the NFL week slate. The halftime show at the Super Bowl has been announced.
Yep.
Shakira and J-Lo. That is, to me, a must-see halftime show.
Chihuahua.
Bingo. That is going to be, do you talk about aesthetically pleasing? I can't do it justice. I've never been real big on halftime shows. I may watch this and loop it over continuously on my DVD.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely going to be entertaining this year.
Yes. Anyway, let's move on to NFL Week 4.
Yes, indeed.
We have Buddy's picks.
Yep.
But we're going to recap last night's game. I picked Green Bay and I lost.
Yep.
Obviously. Buddy, I think, picked Green Bay as well.
Yes, he did.
But I underestimated this Philly team and just the amount of gonads that this team shows. This team, in New England, they don't like Philly for reasons we both know of. But this team is fun to watch, and they play hard, and they're gutsy, and they have balls. Bottom line. And they showed it last night. Going on the road in Green Bay on a Thursday night, injured, depleted, found a way to win this game. A game that they had to have won. Because you don't want to be 1-3 in that division with Dallas potentially going up to 4-0 this weekend.
And then look at who made the big play at the end of the game. What was it? Their 7th or 8th defensive back.
Exactly.
Somebody who had just signed off the practice squad.
Yep.
That just shows true character on Philly's part, and they were able to keep Carson Wentz upright. And quite frankly, both sides of the ball, they pushed Green Bay around.
Right. The only problem I have with Wentz, if you want to call it a problem, is his ability to stay healthy or not stay healthy. He stays healthy, he'll get it done. And just his toughness is enough to show this team that he's their leader. And oh, by the way, he's 4-0 on Thursday night, and Peterson is 5-0 on Thursday night.
Yep.
So this team is not affected by the short week. One thing to consider.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, let's move right along. First game on the slate is Tennessee, who is sitting at 1-2, goes to Atlanta at 1-2. A schizophrenic Atlanta team. I have no idea what is going on. Versus his last 10 opponents, Matt Ryan. He's 1-10 in his last 11 games versus AFC opponents. Not getting it done. Marcus Mariota has been sacked 17 times thus far this season. So something's got to give here. I don't know what to think of these two teams yet. I really don't. Tennessee, gutsy. Mariota is still in that contract year, getting beat up. Atlanta is a team I have an affinity for because I think they're much more talented than what they show in the field defensively, but they just can't seem to put it together day to day, or week to week, I should say. I'm going to take Atlanta in the game, though, being at home. I think Matt Ryan's going to exercise that 1-10 record, so to speak, and
well,
go 2-10.
I know Buddy
versus
Andrade like Simpson Marcus Mariota, but he's not going to last the season if he continues to take hits at the rate he took against Jacksonville.
He's getting beat up.
Just touching on the 17 sacks, that's not covering all the other times he's gotten hit as well. Right. So the offensive line has really got to do something about being able to stop the other team. Having said that, I'm going with Atlanta as well at home. I know Buddy likes Tennessee in this game, but I think Atlanta gets it done.
I do too. So move on. 3 picks, 3 of us picking this week. I like it. Excellent. Beautiful. The more the merrier, they say. Bingo. Move on to the next game on the slate is the 1-2 Cleveland Browns, who some people say are underachieving right now. They go to Baltimore to take on the 2-1 Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore, a little comeback down to earth last week with Lamar Jackson, who's still solid. Growing steps for this guy. Against Kansas City, Baker Mayfield is 1-6 versus teams that entered the game at 500. A little bit of Rex Ryan had a couple of things to say this week about Mr. Mayfield, that he was kind of overrated and kind of like a one-trick pony. Interesting.
I would definitely say he's a one-trick pony, but that's Baker Mayfield, he puts his persona out there. He did it when he was at Oklahoma. He's doing it now with Cleveland. This is who Baker Mayfield is. And he's not going to change for anybody apparently.
No.
And that personality fits in well with OBJ and the rest of that team.
Here's the thing I worry about with the Cleveland Browns. They're 1-2. They could lose this game. I'm picking Cleveland to win this game because I think they're more talented. Just my opinion. I think it's not as close to a must-win game for Cleveland as you want to be at this point in the year, only because you don't know what Freddie Kitchens is going to be like. You don't know if he can control the guys. You have Odell Beckham who could explode any minute now. There's some hotheads on this team, so you don't want that to rear its ugly head, if you will. So I think it's important for Cleveland to get off the schneid and get back on and win this game based on that. And if they lose this game, I think Freddie Kitchens is going to be on the hot seat. I do. I know he's a Baker Mayfield guy, kind of self-appointed, if you will, as the coach. But it's funny to think Cleveland has to win now, and a coach can be in the hot seat for a Cleveland team that's 1-3, where they haven't had a winning season in such a long time.
Yeah, definitely. But OBJ is capable of exploding in a bad way, but he's also capable of exploding in a good way.
Right.
He's still running around in Jets fans' minds, running down the sideline from 2 weeks ago. I mean, he just has explosive speed and great hands. He just needs to get his head right. But also too, Lamar Jackson. And I've been saying that. I had been saying this for this entire offseason. When Lamar Jackson shows me that he can be a drop back passer and not just somebody who runs around,
right?
Tries to create something on the fly. He's going to be a tremendous player and an MVP candidate. Well, no interceptions the first 3 weeks.
Right.
7 touchdowns. He's proving me wrong. He's an MVP candidate. I like Baltimore in this game.
Okay, I like Cleveland. And yeah, speaking of Lamar Jackson, you can say that Miami threw 5 touchdowns against Miami, but it's his second year in the league, so he's still young and he's still learning.
22 years old.
22 years old, exactly. So you pointed out the stats. I'll take that and run with it for Lamar Jackson right now as well. So you're picking Baltimore?
I am too. Also, Mark Ingram leads the league in touchdowns with 5.
There you go. And Baltimore's one of those teams too that just they hang around all the time.
Yes, they do.
And they're a team in New England that you don't want to see in the playoffs.
Nope.
Right? You do not want to see them in the playoffs. Anyway, all right. I love this three guys picking. New England and Buffalo next on the slate. We will skip that and we'll come back to it because that's the marquee game, at least. I'm going to call it the marquee game, 2 3-0 teams. Let's move on to my favorite topic, the Kansas City Chiefs. 3-0, go to Detroit to take on the undefeated Detroit Lions, who are relatively surprising at 2-0-1. Very easily, if they held on the game in Arizona, they'd be 3-0.
Yeah.
But having said that, you can look at every game and say, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Pat Mahomes is playing his first career game indoors in the NFL. He did in college. On the road, since 2018, the Chiefs' defense, though, is giving up 31 points a game, 438 total yards offense. Defense a little better this game, but 313 via the pass, and Stafford can air it out. Detroit, on the other hand, have played 78 one-possession home games, and so too. But the 2 wins are against playoff teams. Another watershed moment. Detroit wins this game. I'm picking Kansas City because I'm a Kansas City buddy as well. Detroit wins this game. Matt Patricia's going to be looked at in a different light now.
Oh, definitely.
So,
I mean, this is a high-profile game for him, much like the Patriots game was last year.
Right.
It's time for them to show who they are.
Right. Much like Bill Belichick being a defensive coordinator to become head coach, if they can hold the Chiefs down, the Chiefs' offense considerably down, he's not going to be in Bill Belichick's standard, but you're looking at a defensive guy as a head coach who knew how to neutralize him. So we'll see. But Buddy's picking Kansas City. I am picking Kansas City.
And I'm taking Kansas City as well. I expect that game to be a shootout.
I think so. I think you're right. Fantasy alert. Fantasy alert. Carolina. Kyle Allen and company go to Houston to take on the 2-1 Ravens. Carolina sits at 1-2. Got off the slide last week because we were talking about that 0-2, 0-3 start, where you can be a playoff team contender and out of the playoffs. But they staved off elimination. Kyle Allen, 133.3 pass rating, is the highest by a quarterback in first 2 starts, who have 20 attempts or more in the Super Bowl era. So Kyle Allen has the only 2 wins that the Carolina Panthers have had in their past 11 games dating back to last year. Deshaun Watson's playing his first career game against Carolina. He's another guy who gets beat up. They have no offensive line there. Sacked 74 times since the start of last year. 74 times.
And that's even trading for Laramie Tunsil.
Right. And this guy can throw the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He can air it out. You give this guy protection, he'll do damage.
Oh, definitely.
So we're looking at Deshaun Watson, who is pretty darn good already, could get better with some protection around him.
3 years ago, when Deshaun Watson came into this league, I said that Deshaun Watson would be the quarterback we would be talking about in 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I still stand by that, even though he's had the injury problems, even though he's,
I can see that.
The loss in the playoffs last year and whatnot. I'm sold on Bill O'Brien's offense. This is going to be a successful quarterback. You mentioned Kyle Allen. He's got a little bit of a tougher road test.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, right. Kyle Allen's not the be-all end-all, but what he did last week was get them a win that they desperately needed as a franchise, desperately.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Desperately. Having said that, I am picking Houston in this one at home. Yeah. I think Buddy has Houston as well.
Yeah, we all like Houston in this game. I think that Carolina's got a little work to do. Okay,
sounds great. When we come back, we'll talk a little more football. We'll go to the rest of the schedule, the rest of the slate, picking our games. I want to talk about Cody Kessler, a new Patriot quarterback in town, signed this week by New England. But we're going to take a little break now. This is the E2G Sports Broadcast. Johnny Sunchips, Brian Damaris here. We'll be back after this. I can't hear in my headphones. Probably. Yeah, can you do that? Yeah.
Another summer has passed, and once again, your dream of having a pool in your backyard has come and gone. Right now is the time to make sure it doesn't happen.
How do we
again.
look?
Call Apollo Pools and Spas now and lock your date in for the pool you have always wanted.
Energy
for
good?
you, your family, and friends to enjoy.
Obviously, you do this.
Don't wait another minute. Call Matt Collins at Apollo Pools
kick me
and
in the ass
Spas
verbally.
at 508-923-7381. 508-923-7381. Apollo Pools and Spas is located on Route 44, Lakeville, Mass. In today's day and age, security isn't a luxury, it's a must. That's why it's time you call Total Security Technology. Whether you're protecting your house from a break-in or package poachers, or protecting your business from vandals or thieves, Total Security Technology will help prevent the crime from happening or catch the criminal in the act with their state-of-the-art security system. Call the area's foremost security expert, Scott Bazinet, at Total Security Technology for a consult. Call Scott at 401-297-7982. That's 401-297-7982. Quality counts at Highland Fence. Highland Fence has been keeping neighbors friendly and protecting your businesses for 31 years. That's 31 years of serving Southeastern Mass and Rhode Island. Whether it's residential or commercial, Highland Fence's reputation is second to none. Remember, quality counts at Highland Fence. Call Highland Fence at 508-678-4650. 508-678-4650.
And welcome back to the E2G Sports Podcast, 11:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on September 27th, 2019. And we're rolling through this month. Goodness gracious, where does the time go?
It's late September, and I really should be back at school.
Dude, you are like, wow. You know what? We could do a lot with that, what you just said.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, exactly. We ain't going to school anytime soon. Anyway, a couple of little tidbits notes about some players before we get into our slate. Looks like Devontae Adams has turf toe last night, went out for the Packers, which is a nagging injury. which could hurt that team a lot. He's a stud, and I think Green Bay would miss having Devontae Adams.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah,
and it showed those last couple of drives. I
Yeah.
mean, Green Bay, first and goal at the 1, and then first and goal at the 8, and
Yeah.
come away with no points.
It's funny, too. They shut down the run, Philadelphia, and left
Yeah.
it in Rodgers' hands, and they still were able to defend. Again, it's a testament to that Philly team. That team's going to be around. That team's going to make some noise. Don't count Philly out yet. Seriously, I know a lot of people are saying they're injured and unsure of Carson Wentz, but not me. Not this guy right here.
No.
Jalen Ramsey has said his trade request still stands. Jacksonville, you got to do something with this guy. If you don't get 2 number ones, you got to ship him out. You play him, he gets injured, you're getting nothing. If you're going to trade him, take what you can get. That's the bottom line. And what you do, if you're the Jaguars now and Tom Coughlin and the brass, you got to think of what the other teammates are going through now, because it's all about Jalen Ramsey, and you can't have that.
This is kind of what the Seahawks went through last year with Earl Thomas,
Right?
Where they really wanted to deal him, and then he winds up breaking his leg in the 3rd game of the season.
Exactly.
Can't get rid of him.
No, and you don't want to be saddled with that. And I think they could be better off because they don't need the distraction, and they're a pretty solid team without him. I believe that. And Jacksonville is, hey, Foles is not out for the year. They can just stay the course now in that division. We talked about it last week. Hang around. They've got enough talent to at least challenge for a playoff spot, even without Jalen Ramsey.
And Calais Campbell was completely unblockable.
No, it's insane.
Against Tennessee.
Right. Insane.
3 sacks on his own, 9 total.
Yeah, that Jacksonville team's got some players, so they've got to decide really soon, especially if they're going to play him. I think he's on baby leave. His wife just had a baby, I believe, so he's on leave with that reason. A lot of babies being born in the NFL. Wow, especially here in New England. Wow. What was in the punch bowl that day? Anyway, we're going to move on. Next game on the slate. Still at 1 p.m. We have a West Coast team. Oakland is at 1-2, coming to Indianapolis, who is 2-1. Listen to this stat I dug up. I love the numbers on this. Since the year 2000, West Coast teams playing 1 p.m. starts on the East Coast are 69 and 120. So you have an Oakland team who I'm not sure where they stand yet, coming to Indianapolis. And you say what you want about them. Jacoby Brissett is playing. They'll be fine with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, he hasn't thrown any interceptions
Nope.
either. If you're not turning the ball over, that helps your team. And Indy's defense is also done very well also. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that Brissett just needs to manage the game.
That's it.
Keep the other team's offense off the field, and, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, and you know what? If you go every football game, if you go into the stats after or the whatever game cast you're watching, if you follow online football, if you're looking at the stats after the game, scroll down to the turnovers, because that's usually the deciding factor. That is the great equalizer in football. You hold on to the ball, good things will happen. You turn the ball over, it's never good.
No.
So the Colts have not allowed a 100-yard rusher since Week 15 of 2017. That was C.J. Anderson. Derek Carr, listen to this, Oakland Raiders quarterback, is 11-23 since breaking his leg versus this Colts team in 2016. He was 12-3 prior. Is Derek Carr come full circle against Indianapolis? This guy thinks not. I don't see Oakland beating this Colt team in Indianapolis. I like Indy in this game.
And for all the reasons stated, the West Coast team coming east, Indy's defense, Brissett being able to manage the game.
Yeah.
We all like Indy in this game.
Right. And the Raiders have not won a game in the Eastern Time Zone since 2017. So
Pittsburgh, I believe.
Yeah, I believe you're right. And that seems to be a trend. So we all like Indy with that game. Turning the page. The 0-3 Miami Dolphins are looking every bit the 0-3 team that they were supposed to be. Although they did fight Dallas for a half last week.
Yeah.
But, talent prevails eventually. They take on the L.A. Chargers, who are coming into town, who have their running back, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Melvin Gordon returns to the Chargers, although Austin Eckler was getting it done pretty well. But that can only bode well. Gordon's a stud, but now you have that potential two-headed monster or is one of those guys, Eckler, Gordon, trade bait?
Well,
Could be.
ESPN.com was just saying that the coach came out and said that Melvin Gordon's their number one back
Right.
when he's
When
ready
healthy.
when he's ready to play, which suggests to me that he's probably not going to play this week.
I wouldn't think they would.
They were figuring that there was a 2-week exemption, roster exemption given to the Chargers, so that Gordon can go ahead and practice and get back into game shape. So
Yeah, because he's nowhere near football shape. I don't care what. No, I mean, you're just missing all the time. You do. Yeah, he's got to get hit. Put the pads on.
Yeah.
Hang around a little bit.
absolutely.
Right. Phillip Rivers is 0-3 on the road versus Miami in his career, but this is not the same Miami team that he's faced in the past. By the way, this is the Chargers' third straight team 0-3. West Coast team coming east. I like the West Coast team in this one. I can't pick against the Chargers and can't pick Miami.
Yeah, I can't pick Miami straight up in any game. I will say I think Miami covers the spread, by the way,
Right.
which is enormous. It's 16.5. I mean, for a home team, you know, the Chargers are just, I mean, they're good, but they're not that good.
Right.
They're not 16.5 points good.
No. And yeah, there's always these backdoor covers and teams laying down and the good old prevent defense, which prevents teams from winning or covering the spread.
Exactly.
Right. So stuff like that's going to happen. You would think, and I haven't looked over their schedule. I'm going to use that as a task next week. You would think that someday, I mean, is it tougher to go 16-0 or 0-16? In this day and age, teams, you stumble across a win. So I'm going to look at Miami's schedule, man, because at some point they're going to win a game. You would think, as bad as they are, that they're just going to galvanize for one game.
The
be at
blind
home.
squirrel finds the nut in the middle of the forest once in a while.
Absolutely, it has to.
I mean, statistically, if you just look at it, you know, there's only been one 16-0 team, the Patriots, in 07.
Right.
And there's only been 2 teams that ever went 0-16.
Right.
So,
But there was one 14-0 team in Miami.
yes, there was.
But anyway. So a bright spot for the Miami Dolphins wide receiver Preston Williams leads the team in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and receiving TDs. I still like what's going on down there, the culture change. I'm not giving up on that team yet. I think Flores is going to be a decent coach.
Like
It's gonna take
Keenan
time.
Allen leads the league in receiving yards, and,
Right.
and they just traded away their best defensive back a couple of weeks ago in
Right.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
But that's a good thing to watch out for in coming weeks. Eckler and Gordon, you know, can these two guys coexist? And if the Chargers do need something to go down to this, you know, to compete in that division, which is going to be tough against Kansas City, what do they do with those guys? Do they keep them both or they jettison one off? But we all like the Chargers there going east. The Washington Redskins, another 0-3 team, but a little more competitive than the Dolphins. Go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey to take on the Giants, who are 1-2. Daniel Jones looking good last week, accounting for 4 touchdowns, but without Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. That's gonna Saquon Barkley is a big loss for them.
It's huge.
They're talking 6 to 8 weeks.
And they would discuss, I don't know if anything's updated, but they weren't going to put him on IR because they didn't think it'd be that long because IR is a guaranteed 8 weeks.
Right.
And then you have the 2 weeks where you have to prepare. So you're looking at 10 weeks gone. So I think they're reluctant, as of right now, things could have changed, to not put him on the IR, which means he'll come back sooner than they thought or sooner than that 10-week gap. But without this guy, I mean, he's getting a bunch of the touches, my God. 70% of the Giants' rush yards since last year. So a little more pressure on Daniel Jones this week, albeit against the Redskins.
And he'll have Wayne Gallman to hand the ball off to as well. Danny Dimes, though. You know, when Saquon Barkley's not in the lineup, you know, it's Daniel Jones, you know, scoring touchdowns on his own.
Yep.
You know, and that was a dramatic win for them as well. I mean, it was kind of, you know, victory snagged from the jaws of defeat.
Yes.
Because you know, Tampa actually did have a really good chance to win that football game, even with Jones's heroics. But, you know, even having said that, you know, winning effort or losing effort, you know, Jones really showed who he is at.
Exactly.
You know,
And it's right. And a real good, a nice injection of adrenaline for that team that needed it. So things like that can spur a team to do good things. And confidence-wise, Daniel Jones, that's just what the doctor ordered for him. And the Giants, again, are one of those teams that I want to see competitive because I think it's really good for the NFL, really good for the league. Washington, on the other hand, Case Keenum, second fewest wins of the 13 quarterbacks to start every game since 2018. Not doing it there. Not doing it there. But the Skins are competitive. Gruden, I'm not sure. I like what Gruden's done as a coach, but they got some building to do there in Washington.
The Dwayne Haskins countdown is on.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Buddy and I talked about it that week. Maybe he's not ready yet, but at some point, you got to get this guy into some of these games just to see what he can do.
And for the same reasons we just talked about with the Giants.
Right.
You need that fresh voice.
Exactly.
In the huddle, especially when things are not going well.
Right. And sometimes you throw these guys to the wolves and they learn by doing. Indoctrination by fire, if you will. And I've liked Haskins coming out of Ohio State, so I think he'll fit in well. I think the system he was in there bodes well transition-wise to the NFL. So I'm okay with that. If you're asking me if I want Washington to continue losing because in order to see Haskins in there, I'm saying Washington, keep losing. I want to see Dwayne Haskins. Having said that, I think we're Giants.
Yeah, we're in agreement on this. I like the Giants as well.
New York.
Even without Saquon Barkley.
Right. I'm not sure if Jones is going to have as good a game, but I want to see what his leadership skills and the team around him, because their offensive line played a lot better than they had in the past, and that's huge. Get that on offensive line play. So they're responding pretty well to Daniel Jones. All right, the 1 o'clock games are done. We're moving on to the 4 o'clock slates. 4:05, Seattle 2-1 goes to Arizona, who was 0-2-1. Russell Wilson pass yards the past 3 games, 195, 300, 406 respectively. Getting better. One of those quarterbacks, we talked about them. We talked about Russell Wilson last week. Arizona, on the other hand, a rebuild of sorts. Obviously of sorts. Running back David Johnson, his average 109 scrimmage yards and 4 TDs in 5 games versus Seattle. But David Johnson is kind of like one of the great player, but not a lot of other options on offense for Arizona.
Yeah, it's the David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald show,
right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
And I like Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be a terrific quarterback going forward. But these are just some of the growing pains that Arizona is going to have to go through in order to get to where they need to go.
Right. Let me give you 2 names and see what you think. Bob Berry and Ed Hargett. You don't recognize them, right?
Nope.
They were the last 2 quarterbacks to start a game who were under 6 feet tall in Week 6 of 1970. I, my friends, have too much time on my hands to look up stuff like that. So, just for the record. Anyway, but I love whacked out stats like that.
That's fascinating.
It's like, that's fascinating. Yeah, off camera. No, it's not. I'm picking Seattle. Buddy's picking Seattle. What say you, Brian?
I like Seattle as well. I think Russell Wilson is the real deal.
I do too. And he's got a gorgeous wife, by the way.
Yes, he does.
Yes. Anyway, so we're moving right along. Another 4 o'clock slate. The LA Rams, who are undefeated as well, and again looking no part of the Super Bowl hangover, take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are just a gritty team, gritty team. Linebacker Shaquille Barrett, 8 sacks this season for Tampa Bay. They can get after it defensively. I like their scheme. They can move. They're physical. That's more than Aaron Donald, DeMarcus Lawrence, Von Miller, Khalil Mack, J.J. Watt, and Cameron Jordan have combined this season.
Fascinating.
8 sacks in 3 games. Pretty impressive.
And more than anybody else in the league.
Right. And if Jared Goff can really get going, because can we all agree they're winning in spite of him right now? Goff, do you believe?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's the defense and the running game.
8 quarterbacks with 3 starts, no losses this season. Jared Goff has the second lowest passer rating at 84.5. I can't pick against the Rams in this. Well-coached team. This guy has the pulse. Sean McVay has the pulse of this team. No question about it.
Oh, he definitely does. And like I say, that defense with Donald, with Matthews, they are going to dominate most games.
Agreed. And if Goff can get better, which I think he can, they can stay the course with the rest of the team until he does. And if not, they'll cut bait. I know they loaded a lot of money on him, but you had to at that quarterback position. Say what you want about his performance in last year's Super Bowl. Didn't perform well in the big stage under the bright lights. That doesn't mean he can't get better. Learning experience. Let it settle in. Maybe he's having a little bit of a hangover. A little bit of it's affecting him a little bit mentally, but I think he will be fine. I'm picking the Rams in this.
Yeah, we're all unanimous on this. We like the Rams. Don't know if they'll cover the 10-point spread, but be interesting to find out.
Definitely to win straight up. 4:25 game. Minnesota at 2-1 goes to the Chicago Bears. The Bears have allowed fewer than 20 points in 7 consecutive games. They're not the 1986 defensive Bears, but they are getting it done defensively. That's the lowest in the league. Minnesota's the only team with more rush yards than pass yards. Delvin Cook, 375. Can they run against this Bears team? Going to be tough. Going to be tough.
I think this is going to be a tough, low-scoring game.
Yep.
Chicago's offense has struggled. Minnesota's been able to run the football. It'll be interesting to see if they can do that against the Bears, or if the game's going to belong to Kirk Cousins.
Agreed. Again, it's one of those clashes, those divisional clashes that always seem to garner a good game. And these, the division games, you can throw some of that stuff out of how good and bad the teams are. Some games you just get up for. You just do. For whatever reason, because it's a divisional rivalry. You play twice a year. It's sort of like that college thing, Ohio State, Michigan, if you will, for just kind of put it on the same scale of, how you can just kind of get up for a game no matter how you are, how good you are, how talented you are. You just seem to rise up for a bit. It's a tough game for me to pick. I'm going Minnesota on the road. I think they're going to be able to run a little bit. I think Cousins will get a couple of things done. I don't think he's going to have to throw for 350 and 3 scores. Close game, relatively low scoring. I like Minnesota on the road at Chicago.
Yeah, I think it's going to wind up being like 225 and a couple scores for Cousins. I know Buddy likes the Bears in this. I actually like Minnesota.
Okay,
I think they go on the road and they take down the struggling Bears offense.
Yeah, and I still think they can neutralize Mitchell Trubisky a little bit too. So I'm still not sold in them. But the Bears are 2-1. They're both 2-1. Big game in that division this week. The aforementioned Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 1-2, they go to Denver, 0-3. Boy, they just can't. Denver scored 16 or fewer points in 7 straight games. No matter how good your defense is, you just can't. You can't be that inconsistent offensively. The third team in the last 10 seasons to do so. I mean, that's just not getting it done in Denver. And their defense is still pretty solid. They are at home. You score that many points, doesn't matter where you play if you have a home field advantage. Jacksonville, boy, DJ Shark, he's on my fantasy team. One of 5 players with 270 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns thus far this year. That's another game. A tough game to pick. Is Denver get off the snide? Does Jacksonville continue his winning ways after last week? That's a tough one for me. It's tough for me to pick against Denver at home, but I got to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars in this game. I have to. Altitude, whatnot. Mile High City, who cares? Jacksonville Jaguars go on the road to Denver and win this game.
And one time for my kids, DJ Chuck, DJ Chuck, had to do that.
Dude, it's all about the kids. I have 2 of my own, trust me.
2 billion views on YouTube. Yes, indeed. But, and for the reasons that we already stated, with Jacksonville's defense, I mean, Calais Campbell was unblockable against Tennessee. I mean, Jalen Ramsey is still going to be out there but until he gets traded. Denver's offense, no bueno.
No. All right.
No bueno.
Jacksonville's defense is good enough to travel on the road. They are. And I think they can get it done at Denver. And Denver's that team. You're right. Could be a lot of house cleaning in Denver.
Yeah. Buddy likes Denver.
Buddy likes Denver.
I like Jacksonville.
You got it. You and I both. Excellent. We differ a little bit. Let's move on to the 2 night games, and that's going to close out the slate. But before that, we're going to take a little break, a little timeout. When we get back, we'll finish that slate. We'll have some parting thoughts about this week's NFL games and so forth and so on, and see where the season bits. And I'm going to give you a couple of teams that I think have no shot of making the playoffs, even though you may think so. We'll be back after this on the E2G Sports Podcast. Brian Damaris, Johnny Sunchips, James Capra. We'll be back, and we'll continue on with our slate.
Potty Dress Express is your one-stop shop for a dress for any occasion. Whether it's a prom, a graduation, a special night on the town, or your wedding. Potty Dress Express has over 15,000 dresses in stock and prices to fit any budget. Potty Dress Express is located at the Tower Mill, 657 Quarry Street in Fall River, Mass. Open 7 days a week. Call Potty Dress Express at 508-677-1575. That's 508-677-1575. Do you want to feel radiant, beautiful, and confident? Do you want to feel 10 years younger? Come to Spa Number 5, the Face Fox, located at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. From Botox fillers to laser fillers and top-of-the-line skincare, Spa Number 5 has all you need to feel beautiful again. Go to spa-5.com or visit us at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. Take advantage of all our fall specials happening now. Spa Number 5, the Face Fox.
Are you ready for some football? Join the Troy City Titans on Saturday, October 12th at 7:30 p.m. at Mac Aldrich Field on the campus of Durfee High School for their final home game of the season against their arch rival, the Middleborough Cobras. You can also enter our raffle for a chance to win a 2012 Nissan Titan truck sponsored by 24autogroup.com. Raffle tickets are available for the rest of this month. The winning ticket will be drawn at this game. Raffle tickets are $25 and available by calling 774-955-7111. The Troy City Titans. Be there!
Welcome back to the E2G Sports Podcast. Third and final segment coming up for you. Brian Damaris to my left, or to my left, could be to your right, depending on which side you're looking at, which screen you're looking at. James Capper directly in front of me behind the camera. And we appreciate his help and effort getting us into your lives today. Mm-hmm. Anyway, where were we? We are on the night games, right?
We had the night games.
One good, one not so good. We'll start off with the good one.
Yeah.
Dallas at New Orleans. New Orleans, Teddy Bridgewater coming through last week. Again, a guy they didn't ask to do much, right?
Right.
Kamara had his breakout game of the season, which is what they needed. He's a stud, by the way. What a freaky... Remember Eric Dickerson?
Yeah.
He's like Eric Dickerson to me. Squares his shoulders, and he's tough to bring down. Great game last week. He has 59 touches, 390 scrimmage yards, 2 TDs, but he had the majority last week in a must-win at Seattle, which is impressive. New Orleans 2-1, hosting Dallas 3-0. Since the start of 2018, Dallas is 6-1 when having 1+ interception in a game, including the playoffs. I believe in this Dallas team. I really do. I think they're for real on both sides of the ball. That's a contender, not only to obviously win the division, but to go far in the playoffs if they stay healthy. I'm not sold in New Orleans yet. I think still, I like Teddy Bridgewater. I'm a big Louisville guy. I liked him coming out of college. A little different test this week. That's a big Dallas team, a very physical Dallas team going into New Orleans on Sunday night. If you're a Giant fan, you need Dallas to lose this game.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. Dallas on both sides of the ball.
They're for real.
They are for real. Dak and Zeke Elliott and Amari Cooper, they're terrific. And that's going to be a challenge for, what's a really good New Orleans defense, which a couple of years ago, that's all they would talk about. And,
right.
They've kind of been pushed to the back burner. But what a story Teddy Bridgewater is. This is a guy who lost 2 years of football because of a torn ACL.
Horrendous injury.
They
weren't. He didn't wear pads when that happened, right? It was just. I think it was just
a non-contact
workouts.
injury.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the ACL; it was the dislocated kneecap. I mean, they even went so far as to say that perhaps Teddy Bridgewater may have had to have his leg amputated.
Amputation, yeah.
It's been a long comeback back from that. So, and I mean, he got his first win since 2015.
And he did a good game plan. They didn't ask him to do a lot, but he went into a hostile environment. in Seattle and was able to win that game. So say what you want. I mean, that was big. And if he can continue to do this, just to take a little of the focus off of Kamara and put it on Bridgewater, because if it's all about Kamara and the quarterback's not getting it done, then you're going to be able to neutralize Kamara if it's the only option. I mean, granted, they have receivers and stuff, but yeah, you need that quarterback to get it out there. And I think Bridgewater can be more than serviceable in this offense, and look for him to do a little more. And by the way, he's got a gun. This guy can air it out. So Bridgewater can get some stuff done. And again, I like him. I like New Orleans. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I just don't think they can beat Dallas this week. I like Dallas to go on the road in New Orleans and win this Sunday night contest. I'm picking Dallas.
I'm
I'm rooting for New Orleans, but I'm picking Dallas.
I'm buying New Orleans going forward. They were actually my Super Bowl pick before Drew Brees got hurt. So I agree with you. I think New Orleans is going to do just fine going forward. I mean, Drew Brees is still with the team. He's still kind of in, Teddy Bridgewater's ear to kind of guide him along.
Yeah,
I think
Good
they'll be fine going forward. But I think they fall short in this game.
I agree.
I like Dallas. Buddy likes New Orleans.
Right, Buddy likes New Orleans as well. But yeah, their defense will keep them in games enough to withstand that sort of thing, like Jacksonville with the quarterback situation. If your defense can keep you in games, if you're asking a quarterback to just kind of, make plays, not turn the ball over, then you can remain competitive. And Breeze will be back at some point this year as well. So we'll see where that goes. But you talk about a good game, boy. And if I don't see 1 minute of the Monday night game, I'm not going to miss it. I'll watch it because we do this. Mm-hmm. But this could be a pillow fight. The 0-3 Cincinnati Bengals visit the 0-3 Pittsburgh Steelers. The only positive thing with this is that it's a divisional game, and these two teams have a strong, strong dislike for each other. Go back to Vontez Perfect. I mean, so there could be a sideshow in this game of fights, little frustration, boating over. That's the one thing I'm going to look for, the sideshow. Cincinnati's last primetime win in Pittsburgh was in 1995. Pittsburgh has won 16 straight home games on Monday night dating back to 1992. Mm-hmm. So that bodes well for the Steelers. But there's a little stuff going on with them. James Conner, quarterback situation. Rudolph.
Well, Mason Rudolph, he actually played very well, and truthfully, they played well enough to win that game in San Francisco last week. It took a last minute touchdown from Jimmy Garoppolo to get that done. Right. So yeah, I saw some positive things from Pittsburgh. And
who's a better quarterback in this game? Andy Dalton, right? Can we both agree? The better quarterback.
I would have to go with Dalton, although I think the upside is more with Mason Rudolph.
Okay. Who's the better running back in this game? Conner or Nixon? Right now.
I'm going to go with Conner.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay. I think Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
And based on that theory, for what it's worth, I'm picking the Bengals on Monday night.
Wow, okay.
I'm going Cincinnati.
You're going Cincinnati. Buddy and I both like Pittsburgh. But I will say this for all the insomniacs that out in our listening audience, if you're looking for a cure for your insomnia, this game might be it.
That's a good point. You could actually sleep with your eyes open and watch this game. How about that? You don't have to cut the eyelids open.
Been there, done that.
Right. Sleep and watch this game. And man, oh man. And there's going to be those people, and you talk about fantasy football, it's going to be the fourth quarter. It could be 30-10, pick your team, and you're there going, come on, I can't go to sleep until I win this game. There's going to be those, right?
I need a couple of catches from John Ross or somebody.
Right.
Or Juju.
Yes, or a sack by some defensive player in a defensive league.
Yes, exactly.
Therefore, there'll always be people watching this game, so the ratings will never die in the NFL. Ever die in the NFL. Couple things before we head out. That's going to be our slate for the week, and we thank you all for watching us here. Two teams that are 1-2 that people think may make the playoffs, I think are not going to be. I mean, you have your 0-3 teams, your Miamis, your Pittsburghs. I don't think are going to make it at this point. There's other teams that are escaping my thought right now. But the two team, Tennessee is 1-2, good team. I don't see them making the playoffs in a tough division because what we talked about before, Mariota's going to be running his you-know-what off. And I just don't see, I don't see him staying injury-free. And I think that's going to bite them in the you-know-what. I think Tennessee is going to fall short of the playoffs. Tampa Bay has a real good defense. They can get after it and scoot, and they're physical and whatnot. But I'm not sold on Jameis Winston. I am not sold on him yet. I'm not. And for that reason, in a quarterback-driven league, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to make the playoffs either. Those are 1-2 teams that are kind of on the brink that I think are going to be shut out come playoff time. And if that's not rocket science, then I don't know what is. Parting thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We also haven't talked about the big game this week. The 3-0 Pats.
Oh, that's what am I
the
doing?
The 3-0 Buffalo Bills.
Shame on me.
Why I'm here.
Shame on me. Jeez, John. You know what? All right. I accept my suspension for next week. No, seriously. Gee, the game of the week. Oh, man.
The game of the week.
So, all right, let's go back. New England 3-0 at Buffalo 3-0. Brian, thanks for pulling my head out of my you-know-what. Jeez, crow.
We're here to help each other.
Okay, first of all, the Patriots and Bills, 3 opponents are a combined 1-17 this year. Take that for what it's worth. But this is the marquee matchup, a division rivalry. Granted, it's been one-sided. But Buffalo stays competitive, and I think they will stay competitive in this game defensively. If you're Buffalo, it all comes down to Josh Allen. If Buffalo's going to win, and he can scramble a little bit and get out of the pocket, that could throw a little wrinkle into the defense of the Patriots, who are playing stout thus far. It's going to come down to him. If Buffalo has any shot of winning, he's going to have to throw them off. Since 2017, only the Bears and the Rams have forced more takeaways than Buffalo, which is 59. That's the year Sean McDermott was hired. Brady in his last 4 games against the Bills, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions against Buffalo. So, Tom Brady, they've been able to neutralize him a little bit.
I'm a big fan of Josh Allen as well. I think when I watch him play, he kind of reminds me of Steve Grogan in his younger days.
Good point.
Good passer from the pocket, and then scramble around and like to run as well. He can definitely do it all, and I think Buffalo is going to do well going forward.
Their defense will keep them in the game.
Yes.
This is not going to be you have Patriot honks everywhere saying it's going to be a blowout because it just happens to be. This Buffalo team is a good defense. They're well coached, and I like what they do offensively. I saw a couple games. It can 2-minute offense. Throw it short. Just do enough for Josh Allen to keep him in the game. But he's a guy now where they may unleash a little bit of Josh Allen. And if I'm at Buffalo, and I say this about a lot of games, a lot of teams, offensively, the first series, whether you complete it or not, throw it 60 yards downfield, just to keep the defense honest.
Yeah.
Just to throw them off a little bit. Because granted, the Patriots defense has been playing stout. The opponents they have played, granted they've blown them out. You can't really take a lot from them. I think the Patriots defense is going to carry this team far this year with what I've seen. But this Buffalo team is going to keep it competitive. They will keep it competitive. And if they can keep Tom Brady and offense off the field by playing that short game and running a little bit, Frank Gore's still got a little juice in him. And I think they can get up for this game. Buffalo's going to keep this thing close. I'm not sure they'll win. But we'll see. But listen, Tom Brady has more wins in Buffalo than any other quarterback since 2001, including any of the Bills quarterbacks. He owns Buffalo. He just does. But I'm going to go on a limb here. Mm-hmm. I am looking out for the NFL. You're going to hate me, Patriots fans, for doing this. But I am standing up for the league. It is better for the league if the Buffalo Bills win this game. And you know what? Buffalo's going to win this game. They're winning the game. And you're not going to like it. Now, it's going to sting. Venom, visceral, knee-jerk, all you want next week, because you know you're going to do that. Buffalo Bills, in what may be the biggest game for the NFL, will beat New England on Sunday. Heard it here. 19-18. Stephen Gostkowski misses a field goal with 1 minute and 4 seconds left. You heard it. You're going to hate me, and I know you do. Bring it on. Buffalo Bills. I'm picking them.
Buddy and I like the Patriots in
Of
this.
course.
Well,
No, I don't blame you.
I mean,
I'm not being.
not to knock Buffalo.
Of course not.
And I think Buffalo is doing a lot of positive things.
They are. Yeah.
And if you didn't throw that stat out about Tom Brady and the wins,
Last 4 games or the wins.
with his record at New Era Stadium,
Yeah.
I was going to.
We're both in the same way, though. That's impressive. But it's also against a lot of Buffalo teams that weren't so good. This Buffalo team's got something to prove. And I'm telling you, man, and I'm kind of joshing you guys, kind of getting your gander up as Patriot fans. But there are some things that are good for the NFL. It's good for the NFL for the Raiders to be successful because you love or hate them. The Patriots are now one of those teams you love or hate. So you're gonna gravitate to them regardless. It's the Mike Tyson theory again. I bring it up. The teams in LA are the same way. You need teams in LA to be successful. You need the Giants to be successful and the Jets, although you hate them, because they're in big markets and it's good for the NFL. This would be great for the NFL and the division to see a little competitive this year. Not just to waltz away. You don't want to granted you do, but I don't want to see this division clinched by week 10. I just don't. I don't.
It doesn't do the league very well either. It just say, well, the Patriots play in a weak division, we'll just check them off,
right,
and move on. And when you talk about, you either love the Patriots or you hate the Patriots, we can basically say, 44 states in this country hate the Patriots, and parts of 2 others, New York, Massachusetts, and that's
a badge of honor because you're so successful. If you're hated because you're successful, there's nothing wrong with that. But some things are good for the league. You aren't going anywhere in New England. It'd be nice to see the Buffalo Bills. And I lived in Rochester for 5 years back in the 90s. That's all they worship up there are the Buffalo Bills. The Sabres are obviously a decent hockey team, but they have not achieved the success.
They're up and coming.
Exactly. And let's face it, there's only one team who's ever gone to 4 straight Super Bowls, Buffalo Bills, whether they won or lost. That's a tough thing to do. It's tough to go to 4 straight Super Bowls and lose. Granted. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the Buffalo Bills. So my heart's kind of picking with that, although I am picking for the league as well. Anyway, now that's going to do it. Mm-hmm. Again, Brian, thanks for pulling my head out of my butt.
And, Buddy, please don't get put through a table.
Yes. The Bills Mafia will be in full force. They're going to have fun. Buddy, have fun up there, man. I know we're there in spirit. But that's going to do it here for the E2G Sportscast for this Sunday, week 4 of the NFL. Mm-hmm. We will be back at 11 a.m. Eastern Time each and every Friday throughout the rest of the NFL season. So please join us. We thank you for joining us. James Capra, thank you so much for producing. Brian Damaris filling in admirably as well, and helping us pick games and so forth. I'm Johnny Sunchips. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great football weekend, everybody. We are out.
Party Dress Express is your one-stop shop for a dress for any occasion. Whether it's a prom, a graduation, a special night on the town, or your wedding. Party Dress Express has over 15,000 dresses in stock and prices to fit any budget. Party Dress Express is located at the Tower Mill, 657 Quarry Street in Fall River, Mass. Open 7 days a week. Call Party Dress Express at 508-677-1575. That's 508-677-1575. Do you want to feel radiant, beautiful, and confident? Do you want to feel 10 years younger? Come to Spa Number 5, the Face Fox, located at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. From Botox fillers to laser fillers and top-of-the-line skincare, Spa Number 5 has all you need to feel beautiful again. Go to spa-5.com or visit us at 580 Wood Street in Bristol, Rhode Island. Take advantage of all our fall specials happening now. Spa Number 5, the Face Fox.
Are you ready for some football? Join the Troy City Titans on Saturday, October 12th at 7:30 p.m. at Mac Aldrich Field on the campus of Durfee High School for their final home game of the season against their arch rival, the Middleborough Cobras. You can also enter our raffle for a chance to win a 2012 Nissan Titan truck sponsored by 24autogroup.com. Raffle tickets are available for the rest of this month. The winning ticket will be drawn at this game. Raffle tickets are $25 and available by calling 774-955-7111. The Troy City Titans. Be there!